The Cy Young Award is one of the most prestigious accolades to add to one's career. Yeah, there's the MVP and there's the Nickelodeon Choice Award, but the Cy Young definitely ranks up there with the great trophies. Over the years, there have been some absolute studs to capture this silver fist, but the award has its fair share of dog water poo-poo winners too. In this video, I'm going to be ranking every American League Cy Young winner from the 2010s from worst to best, and you might be asking, well Finns, why not the National League winners too? Well, content isn't gonna create itself, that's why. So without further ado, let's rank this mixture of savages, averages, and straight up dog shit. Number 10, 2016 Cy Young, Rick Porcello. What better way to start off this list than by introducing one of Major League Baseball's biggest one-hit wonders, Rick Porcello. I'm not just saying this as a salty Mets fan, although I am a salty Mets fan. Like, just looking at the stats of American League pitchers in 2016, it just doesn't make any sense as to how Porcello won. For starters, the only category Porcello led the AL in was wins, which is a fraudulent stat in and of itself, as you'll see later on in this video. Here's some other fun stats. Porcello did not reach 190 strikeouts, there were 4 starters who had better ERAs than him, and out of the 31st place votes casted, Porcello received 8, while the deserving winner of the Cy Young this year, Justin Verlander, received 14. This could be a commentary as to how the MLB should change its voting system, but come on! And to top things off, the Red Sox got swept in the divisional round of the playoffs, and Porcello gave up 5 runs in 4 innings in the opening game. However, I'm not going to judge his season based on the playoffs, nor will I do that for anybody on this list. I shall hold some analytical integrity, and with that, Porcello can hold my analytical integral nuts. Number 9, 2015 Cy Young winner Dallas Keuchel. Dallas Keuchel's 2015 Cy Young showed a lot about the state of baseball. For starters, it showed that having a lot of strikeouts isn't taken into too much consideration for Cy Young voting, as Keuchel had 58 less than American League leader Chris Sale. Secondly, it showed just how much better National League pitching was compared to the American Leagues, as Keuchel led the American League in ERA, but he was 5th in the league behind 4 National League studs. As you'll see later in this video, I don't factor in postseason play into these rankings, but Keuchel single-handedly whipped the Yankees in the do-or-die wildcard game, going 6 scoreless innings while totaling 7 strikeouts. Now let's pretend I did not bring up that fact, and let's judge Keuchel for what he did in the regular season. Well, actually, not a lot of stats jump off the page for Mr. Keuchel. He did lead the American League in only 2 categories, wins and whip. This is probably the most average Cy Young winner I've ever seen, but that does not necessarily make it bad. It just makes it, how do you say? Number 8, 2012 Cy Young winner David Price. Close Cy Young races doesn't always mean the person who wins the Cy Young is fraudulent, but David Price sure does toe the line for his 2012 win. Not to take anything away from the Tampa fella, but Justin Verlander's WAR was a whole 1.5 points higher. His team had actually made the playoffs, and he threw 30 more innings, amassing 30 more strikeouts. One stat I want to bring up is ERA+, which is a metric analysts like Finzi use to see what a player's ERA is adjusted to ballpark factors. An average ERA+ is 100, and the career best ERA+ by any player is Mariano Rivera's, which stands at a crisp 205. Price's ERA+ in 2012 was 150, while Verlander's was 161. Makes you think. Also, I'm not going to entertain the debate that closers should win Cy Youngs more often, because if Francisco Rodney couldn't win it this year with a .6 ERA, then no closer should. Number 7, 2013 Cy Young winner Max Scherzer. As I go through this list of Cy Youngs, I'm honestly shocked at how bad the Tigers are now, considering how good they were through the 2010s. In 2013, the Tigers had 2 starting pitchers finish in the top 5 Cy Young voting, and it was Anibal Sanchez and the eventual winner Mad Max Scherzer. Looking at his stats objectively, the only categories Scherzer led the league in this year were whip, which he led by .03 points, and wins, which he led by 3, yet he somehow got 97% of first place votes for Cy Young. I'm not going to sit here and slander Mad Max, as we all know how good his career turned out in the future, but his 2013 season wasn't the season we expect out of Mad Max today. The infamous ERA+ stat I like to mention definitely does not help Mad Max's case either, as he was 4th in the AL behind Bartolo Colon, Yu Darvish, and his aforementioned teammate, Mr. Sanchez. This wasn't the worst year for Mad Max, but it definitely does not deserve to be in the upper echelon of this list. Number 6, 2014 Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. I pity the fool that tried to step the Kluber lane. Sorry, just had to get that out of my system. This win for Kluber is not nearly as fraudulent as some of the others on this list, but let me break down some stats. The 2nd place finisher for Cy Young in 2014 was Felix Hernandez, who had a better ERA and better whip than Mr. Kluber. but indeed had less strikeouts and wins. Kluber somehow led the entire league in WAR, including batters, and I think it's safe to say Felix got cucked by his team out of a Cy Young here. In fairness, the Mariners actually had a better record than Cleveland this year, so that just makes Kluber's WAR even more impressive. The craziest part about this Cy Young victory is that Kluber didn't even make the All-Star team. In his last 5 starts of the season, he would pitch 40 innings and only give up 6 runs in that entire span. If he had kept that production up all season, Kluber's 2014 year would probably be higher on this list. Number 5, 2018 Cy Young winner Blake Snell. The more I research Blake Snell's 2018 season, the more my analytical mouth waters. Without bringing up any other stats, Snell's ERA plus was 217, which ranks 65th all-time for a single season. That should be enough to warrant Snell's spot being this high up on the list, but let's keep digging. Actually, let's stop digging. The more I dig, the more I see how this could have been a fraudulent Cy Young. Snell only pitched 180 innings, which could be why his ERA was sitting at a crisp 189. But this can also be why he had 70 less strikeouts than American League leader Justin Verlander. The stat that doesn't lie though is Snell's WAR, which sat at a nice 7.2, which was the highest amongst eligible pitchers that year. Snell is also one of the few Cy Young winners to never throw a complete game or a shutout in his Cy Young season. But enough about the bad stuff. Let's look at how Snell has been doing since 2018 to prove he's not fraudulent. Oh no. Number 4, 2010 Cy Young winner Felix Hernandez. The Mariners finished with 61 wins in the 2010 season, finishing with the second worst record in baseball that year. This could be the reason why King Felix still won the Cy Young while amassing a mid-tier 13-12 record. There wasn't a lot for Seattle fans to root for this year, with their team leader in home runs, Russell Branyan, only managing to get a measly 15 baseballs over the fence. They did have star Ichiro Suzuki, and they did get Felix a little help at the All-Star break when they acquired stud pitcher Cliff Lee, but when your bullpen has a combined ERA above 4 and your closer David Ardsma gives you angina every time he steps on the mound, I can understand how Mr. Hernandez had a hard time snagging more victories. The main factor as to why Felix Hernandez's 2010 campaign is ranked number 4 is due to the fact that his Cy Young race wasn't even close. Out of the 27 first place votes casted, Felix received 21 of them and somehow had an ERA 50 points lower than second place finisher David Price while throwing an extra 50 innings. That's king shit. Number 3, 2019 Cy Young winner Justin Verlander. Like I say time and time again, just because a Cy Young race is close does not mean the person who won the Cy Young is whack. Garrett Cole had almost a carbon copy season to Justin Verlander in 2019, but alas, Justin came out on top with the trophy, eking out 12 more points required to win. Both starters had a sub 2.6 ERA, 300 plus strikeouts, 20 plus wins, and ERA plus above 170. Sheesh. The main separator between these two is the fact that Verlander pitched 1 extra game than Cole, and that 1 extra game turned out to be a complete game, and that 1 extra game ended up boosting Verlander's WAR to be 0.8 points above Cole's, which stood at 6.6. Now enough with the comparisons, let's just look at Verlander's 2019 season for what it was. A masterclass in effective pitching and just being an utter savage workhorse. Any pitcher that amasses over 300 strikeouts with a sub 3 ERA deserves to be acknowledged, so here's your acknowledgement, Mr. Upton. Number 2, 2011 Cy Young winner Justin Verlander. Now, the fact that this is not number 1 might turn some heads, but let me explain myself for a second. This list does not include postseason statistics, because if it did, Justin Verlander's 2011 Cy Young season would not be as high as it is on this list. He had 4 total appearances in the 2011 postseason and gave up 12 runs over 20 innings. Let's just ignore those numbers though and revel in the true glory that was Justin Verlander in 2011, a year in which he brought home both a Cy Young and MVP awards, a feat only accomplished by 9 other players in MLB history. Verlander somehow managed to lead the league in WAR, which is crazy to think about considering he pitched in 34 of the 162 games played that season. He also unanimously won Cy Young 2, receiving all 28 of the first place votes casted, which has happened, I imagine, not many times. Sorry, I could not find the actual stat, but I mean, come on, how many times could that have possibly happened? His record of 24-5 may have been boosted a bit because of Jose Valverde's epic closer skills and the Detroit Tigers' nasty lineup that year, but no one can take away from the savagery of Verlander in 2011. At number 1, 2017 Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. The astonishing stat about Corey Kluber's 2017 campaign is that he finished with a 2.25 ERA, which was 65 points lower than the next eligible starter, Chris Sale. He also led not just the American League, but the entire league in ERA+, my favorite stat of all time. He also led not just the American League, but the entire league in strikeouts, having 40 more than the next eligible starter, Max Max Scherzer. He also was second in the entire league in WAR, only behind Aaron Judge, who was robbed of MVP. But that's a different story for a different video. Gotta love content. Throughout the entire season, Kluber had one start where he gave up more than 3 runs, and that was the first start of the season. He was the main catalyst for Cleveland possessing the best record in the American League this year, but he was also the main catalyst for the Indians losing in the first round of the playoffs to the Yankees by giving up 9 runs in 6 innings. But I am a man of my word, and I shan't use playoff stats when judging this list. So with that being said, let us revel in the machismo of Kluber Lang. Thank you for watching another video. I didn't decide to do a face cam today. I am experimenting with how I'm gonna make my videos from now on. I hope you like this little this unique background I found. I thought it was kind of cool. But make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day, you savage!